I don't like the fact that there are illegals here that get to cheat the system. You got to admit that there are some here that get to cheat the system, right?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so in trucking right now, there are people coming from multiple other countries, and they're driving for these people because I don't know how they're getting a license, right? Because they don't speak very good English. But these companies...
Yeah, the truth of what you're saying is you see drivers that aren't that good at speaking English. You assume that they're illegal aliens, as you like to say, illegal aliens. And
I know.
And thereby you say, dude, it's just bigotry. No, you can't look at somebody that isn't like, that doesn't speak English as their first language and thereby say that they're an undocumented immigrant. That's bigoted. I want you either to accept or reject my hypothesis here insofar as why they collect and garner lower wages on average, stemming from the fact that it's because they have less bargaining power due to the fact that they're under the threat of being deported as they're not legal residents or citizens. Respond to that hypothesis that explains why they get lower wages on average.
I'm sure they're all scared of being deported. I mean,
are you going to affirm? Are you going to affirm or reject that hypothesis?
I reject it.
Okay,
because
why? Okay,
because even if they were legal, they're still going to get paid that. It's not going to give them a raise.
Okay, why?
What do you mean why? Because people can't afford it.
People can't afford to pay them more?
Right. They're not going to pay them more for the job they're doing.
Okay, so then
that's why Americans aren't doing the job.
So then why is it the case that legal immigrants or citizens don't get paid less?
For the jobs that they're doing, that's why you said nobody would fill that job, is because of the pay. That's my point.
I don't even know. Does anybody know what this guy's saying? I literally have no clue what this guy is saying. So for what reason? For what reason do you reject? For what reason do you reject my hypothesis that the reason? Buddy, shut the fuck up. Like literally, I mean, you're a fucking tool. You're coming on here with like a 45 IQ, and now you're trying to talk down on me? Come on, bro, get real. But anyways, with what reason are you rejecting my hypothesis that undocumented immigrants collect lower wages on average due to the fact that they have less bargaining power due to the fact that they're not legal residents or citizens? How about we start off with this? Can we agree that with more bargaining power, you could get paid better wages and collect better incentives from your employer? Can we agree there?
Well, I agree that you could get insurance, possibly.
I'm just saying, with more bargaining power comes higher wages. With less bargaining power comes lower wages. Could we agree there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll agree with you.
Okay, then could we also agree that non-citizens are going to have less bargaining power than citizens?
Yeah, I'll agree with you.
Boom. Then you just accepted the hypothesis. You said non-citizens. No. You just said that non-citizens have less bargaining power than citizens, and you agreed that less bargaining power means lower wages. The conclusion of you accepting these two ideas would indicate to us that we should expect that non-citizens get lower wages than citizens. For that reason, you just conceded.
No, I was just agreeing with the basis of it.
I know, but it's that basis that yields the conclusion. No. Stop it. It's that basis that yields the conclusion. Okay? We are using that foundation that you agreed upon to logically imply a conclusion. Okay? We could break it down into a premise by premise argument. Okay? The first premise of the argument would be, with more bargaining power comes higher wages. With less bargaining power comes lower wages. You accepted this first premise. The second premise would be is that citizens have more bargaining power than non-citizens. You accept that premise, okay? The logically implied conclusion here would be is that non-citizens would thereby have lower wages. So what are you saying here? Are you saying that that is not the logically implied conclusion from the premises, or are you rejecting a premise? I need you to be very clear. Are you saying that the conclusion?
Just listen.
No. Are you saying that the conclusion of the two premises is not logically implied by the two premises, or are you rejecting one of the two premises?
Can I say what I want to say?
Yeah, sure. But just tell me, right, what part of my argument you're critiquing here? Because you can't just say it's wrong. I'm critiquing
that, yes, you would be able to leverage yourself into benefits such as insurance, healthcare stuff, right? But then then they're going to have to pay taxes, and they're not having to now. So it just kind of...
Okay, well, that's not true. Undocumented immigrants pay $100 billion per year taxes, but that's neither here nor there as it relates to my argument.
You're crazy if you think these people out here building these houses are paying taxes. They're all getting paid cash.
How much do you want to bet?
They don't pay taxes.
How much do you want to bet?
A lot. I don't know.
Name a dollar amount. Name a dollar amount.
What do you mean?
Name a dollar amount. Put your money where your mouth is. How much money do you want to bet that your claim?
What are you going to do?
Undocumented immigrants don't pay taxes.
That shows me this many undocumented immigrants paid this much in taxes.
Yes.
And I'm just supposed to believe you? Because you don't believe people when they say it.
This is coming from the IRS.
I'm just saying what happens where I'm from.
Well, I just want to clarify. Do you reject the IRS as a reliable source to tell us who pays taxes?
Yeah, you're so good at gaslighting, I'll tell you.
How am I gaslighting you? What is going on?
I never said I reject the IRS.
Okay, so then if you accept the IRS, when the IRS says that undocumented immigrants pay taxes, then you were fucking wrong when you said that they don't pay taxes.
I said not all of them pay taxes.
Dude, not all citizens pay taxes, you tool.
Whatever. It's so hard to find common ground with you because you literally only agree on, you can't find common ground with nobody. Like I brought up why I support the things that I've supported with the trucking, and all you did was shit on it.
So the reason that we're talking past one another is because you're just saying, no, Dean, you're wrong. I can't provide you with any reason that you're wrong. I
said
yes. I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and detail exactly how this is the case. Okay. So you rejected that the reason undocumented immigrants get paid lower wages on average is because they have less bargaining power than citizens. But then you turned around and accepted that if you have less bargaining power, you'll get paid lower wages on average. And you accepted that citizens have more bargaining power than non-citizens. That is a logical contradiction. Like your brain is just completely devoid of reason, truth, fact, or logic, and you're just operating off of complete gibberish nonsense. How can you say in one breath that it is not true that undocumented immigrants get paid lower wages on average since they have less bargaining power than citizens, but then say in the next breath that citizens have more bargaining power and more bargaining power means higher wages? Like, think about it here, man. Think about it. Let's slow down. Citizens have more bargaining power, right?
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, so then you're thereby accepting the conclusion that the reason undocumented immigrants get paid lower wages than average is because they have less bargaining power than their employers. So then obviously, if we were to offer them a pathway to residency or citizenship, they'd thereby have the same level of bargaining power as citizens, meaning that they'd collect the same wages on average as citizens.
Yeah.
Great. So then you completely concede your argument insofar as why you support mass deportation.
I wasn't even starting that argument. You're the one who brought up immigration. I wasn't even saying that.
Okay. I mean, I actually do think that you're the one that brought it up, but that shouldn't matter because at the end of the day, we were having a back and forth conversation about why it is the case that you support mass deportation, regardless of who started the conversation.
I didn't even say anything about mass deportation.
Yeah, you specifically said
you're the one that brought it up, and I said you have talked about all this money we'd lose with mass deportation. How would we lose it? That's all I asked. I didn't say anything about supporting it or nothing.
Yeah, you specifically brought up how undocumented workers like fuck up American industries by accepting lower wages than average. That was your claim. That's why we've been having this conversation. Why are you so dense?
I never said they fuck up anything. I said that they're underpaid. That's all I stated was that they're underpaid.
Okay.
They get paid
low wages. So you just like felt making that point for what reason? What was the reason you made that point?
Because it's true.
What would it serve a relevance to? Okay, like fucking the sky is blue. That's also true, but that's not me demonstrating the relevance of why I brought it up in the conversation. The relevance of why you brought it up is not the fact that you think it's true. The relevance should be to achieve some greater point.
No, I was just stating it. I didn't.
Okay, so you're just stating it. Why?
Because it's true. I don't know.
Hey man, the sky's blue. Is that how we debate? Just saying like different random shit that has no relevance? So would you say here that the reason you made that point is to like further the idea that mass deportation is good? Do you support mass deportation?
Yes, but I also support how you agree.
Fucking hell.
Listen.
Fucking hell.
But I also agree
what
on how
hell?
you think.
God damn it. Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me?
Can I elaborate at all?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I think you shouldn't be here illegally, but I also agree, like, maybe I don't support mass deportation, but I don't like the fact that there are illegals here that get to cheat the system. You got to admit that there are some here that get to cheat the system, right?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so in trucking right now, there are people coming from multiple other countries, and they're driving for these people because I don't know how they're getting a license, right? Because they don't speak very good English, but these companies.
Yeah, the truth of what you're saying is you see drivers that aren't that good at speaking English. You assume that they're illegal aliens, as you like to say, illegal aliens. And
I know.
And thereby you say, dude, it's just bigotry. No, you can't look at somebody that doesn't speak English as their first language and thereby say that they're an undocumented immigrant. That's bigoted.
That's not what I said. I'm saying I know the companies. I know the companies is what I'm saying, and they have hired them, and then they make it to where they don't have to pay taxes. That's what I'm saying is cheating the system.
Okay, well, so if there's like trucking companies out there that are literally hiring undocumented immigrants to break the law and drive a truck they're not licensed to drive, well, why don't you blame the companies?
Well, I have.
Great. So then what's the relevance of undocumented immigrants in this conversation?
The relevance is that I'm saying I think people should be deported if they're illegal.
I don't. Wait. I don't understand. How does a point that there's some companies that will illegally hire undocumented immigrants to work a job that the undocumented immigrant cannot legally work as they cannot obtain a professional CDL driver's license lead to mass deportation? Couldn't this just also imply that we should try to get these individuals legalized to possess the ability to legally get that CDL by offering them a pathway to residency or citizenship?
Yes, but I don't think it should
Wait,
be.
whoa. So you're saying that your argument concludes mass amnesty and mass deportation. So your argument concludes a contradiction.
No, I didn't. I'm not saying I think everybody should just be deported, mass deportation.
Wait, why are you strawmanning? I'm specifically talking about your argument for deportation. And now you're saying that you don't support deportation. So which one is it? Do you support Donald Trump's deportations or do you not? Which one?
Yes, I support his deportations,
okay,
but
why?
I also think
so why do you support Donald Trump's deportations? Why do you support Donald Trump's deportations?
Because I don't think you should be here illegally.
Okay, why? Wait, whoa. If you're just saying that you disagree with the idea that there should be individuals, there shouldn't be individuals without a legal status of residency or citizenship in America, this doesn't imply mass deportation. This could also imply mass amnesty. Mass amnesty would also ensure that we don't have any undocumented immigrants in this country. So why do you support mass deportation over mass amnesty as it relates to your bigger goal of ensuring that there's not an undocumented immigrant in this country?
No, I'll tell you this, and I'll give you this common ground. I've never heard of mass embassy before. Never.
Think about it.
Nobody's ever proposed that to me.
You're saying that you support mass deportation because you don't think people should be here illegally, okay?
Right.
Okay, mass deportation isn't the only way to ensure that there's not people here illegally. Another option would be to make the individuals in America illegally legal. Boom.
Yeah, but you should just get to stay here while it's happening.
Okay, why?
I'm saying.
Okay, why shouldn't they stay here?
Because they came here illegally.
Okay, what about that tells us that they shouldn't be able to be offered a pathway to residency or citizenship?
I didn't say they shouldn't be offered a pathway. I just think they should have to go out before they come back in.
Okay, why?
Because they broke the law.
Okay, so you're basically saying that because they broke the law coming in, we should absolutely just destroy this country's economy's productivity. We should just basically send them out of the country, spend $2 trillion over the course of the next 10 years to get it done, wiping out trillions of dollars from our GDP every single year, instead of just offering them the ability to stay in the country and go through the pathway to residency or citizenship. Why are we losing? Why would we be losing all that money? Because we'd be sending 8.3 million laborers and 12 million consumers out of the market. Think about it. Imagine that you ran a business and you had an employee that generated you $500 billion worth of revenue per year. Okay. If you fire that employee for a year and then rehire them a year later, will you still be generating that $500 billion worth of revenue per year that they gave you? No, not while they're fired. Not while they're not in your company.
A while ago, though, when I was talking about people being hired that are illegal, that was a big deal. You said that trucking companies shouldn't do that. But then now you're saying all these people who are working that are illegal should just be able to work. I'm confused.
Okay, great question. Yeah, that's because undocumented immigrants can't legally attain a driver's license, meaning when they're on the roadways, they haven't gone through the proper certifications, et cetera, meaning that they would A, pose a threat to the general safety and risks of others on the roadways, and B, I do think that you should have to be licensed in all circumstances to be a professional trucker. But I don't think that you have to possess citizenship or residency to stay in America, especially under the pretense that you are actively seeking a pathway of residency or citizenship because of the good outcomes that it has on our country and the inefficiencies in which are created when you send them out of the country first. Literally, let's compare two worldviews. Worldview number one, we deport all undocumented immigrants and we send them back to the legal means of entry to America. Worldview number two, we don't deport them when we just offer them those pathways while they're already in America. Which solution is going to be better for this country?
I guess it really just depends.
It depends on what? Stop being vague. Why don't you agree with have a spine? Have a spine. Wait. Have a spine and answer the question. Which one is better for this country?
Deporting them and bringing them back, so you know.
Right. So the option that cuts trillions of dollars from the GDP per year and costs $2 trillion over the course of the next 10 years is better than the option that adds to the GDP and doesn't cost us a damn penny over the course of the next 10 years.
Those are what-if numbers, right?
Those are not what-if numbers. No, it is the case that undocumented. Yes, it is the case that undocumented immigrants pay 100. Yes, undocumented immigrants are already paying $100 billion per year in taxes. What? No, they're already contributing this to the market. And it's just logically implied that if you remove them from the market, you're also removing their contributions. Like, this is like saying that if I took my shoes off, I would be barefoot. Like, the logical implication that therefore I'd be barefoot is just a what if. No, it's a logical implication. It would be true necessarily. Like, you're calling it a what if to say that if we were to remove the people contributing $100 billion per year in taxes, that our government would lose $100 billion per year in taxable revenue. No, that's not a what if. That's a very obvious logical logical entailment. Do you know what a logical entailment is? No, answer my question. Do you know what it means for something to be logically entailed?
Logically entailed?
Yeah, do you know what that means? What does that mean?
Okay, so it's entailed that has a premises to back it.
Right, like if X, then Y. That's going to be a logical entailment.
Right. Yeah,
I know. A logical entailment
here is that
if undocumented immigrants pay $100 billion per year and you remove, pay $100 billion per year in taxes and you remove them from the country, thereby removing their ability to pay taxes in the market, the logical implication would be that our government would lose $100 billion per year in taxable revenue, correct?
Sorry.
I'll go ahead and repeat that for you. I'll go to repeat that for you. So if X, then Y. Okay, so X is if undocumented immigrants pay $100 billion per year in taxes and you remove them from the country, you're removing their ability to pay those taxes, then Y, our government will lose $100 billion per year in taxable revenue, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so when you told me that it's a what if, or when I say that if we did a mass deportation, we'd lose $100 billion per year in taxable revenue, that wasn't a what if. That'd be logically entailed given the operation, because obviously the undocumented immigrants wouldn't be able to pay taxes anymore.
Right.
So now that we understand that what I said was true,
I didn't know you were referring
why
to
do you think
the
that the solution of mass deportation is preferable to the solution of mass amnesty and better for this country when it only reduces the productivity of our economy? It cuts $1.1 trillion through $1.7 trillion per year. It removes $100 billion per year in taxable revenue from our government and costs $88 billion per year for the operation up front. Why is that view preferable when it only weakens our economy and costs our government more money? Have I won the war? You might be finally tapping out here. After costing me a 4x increase in my cortisol levels and 3 years off of my lifespan, I might have finally won the war. I have. Do you want to respond to my question?
Wait, I lost everything right there.
I don't think you did, but okay. I'll go to repeat the question. So you said that...
What do I have to lie about?
It just TikTok tells me when guests are experiencing connection issues, and it didn't pop up for you, but whatever, it's fine. So anyways, you told us that the solution of mass deportation, sending them out of the country to come back in legally, is preferable to the solution of just simply offering the pathway to residency or citizenship while they're already in the country. So my question was, well, why is that preferable when it is worse for America by weakening our economy, cutting trillions of dollars per year out of our GDP, and costing $2 trillion over the course of the next 10 years? Why is that preferable?
No, I'm not saying it's preferable. I'm saying that that's what I agree with. You asked, why do we support him? I'm telling you why I support him.
Bro, if you agree with it, then you're saying it's preferable. Unless you're telling us that you agree with the least preferable solution. Like, so it's either that you think it's preferable, or it's that you agree with things that you think are worse. So wait,
you definitely do. You know way more than me.
Which one is it? Do you agree with it because you think it's preferable, or do you agree with it and acknowledge that it's worse? Which one?
I agree with it because I think that's what should happen.
Okay, so when you say that's what should happen, you're saying that it's preferable, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, then answer my question.
I just did.
No, you didn't.
I think you should have to go out and then come back in legally. That's all I'm saying. I'm not looking past that.
I know, but I'm asking you why you think that, even though it leads to worse outcomes for America.
Because it'll make it better in the future.
How's it going to make it better in the future?
Because then they're going to be documented.
Well, wouldn't they also be documented through mass amnesty? And in fact, they'd be documented quicker. So it would make it better in the closer future?
Yeah, but then more people that probably shouldn't be able to get documented would.
Okay, like who?
The criminals.
Oh, and you're saying that if we sent them out first, we'd be able to deny them at the border?
Yeah.
Okay, wouldn't we just also be able to deny them a mass amnesty? Like what?
If mass amnesty could do that, where you could only pick out the bad ones, then sure, I'd be great. It'd be great.
Like I think our government does have the ability to only give mass amnesty to the individuals that they want to, the same way that we'd only give legal residency or citizenship to the legal means of entry to the individuals that we want to. Well, wait, it would be hard to... Okay, now you're saying that you think it's preferable to deport them all compared to mass amnesty because it'd be hard to identify every undocumented immigrant to give mass amnesty to? Wouldn't it all be even harder to identify every undocumented immigrant to deport?
You're saying like to single-handedly pick which ones to deport?
You're telling us that mass amnesty would be a bad solution because how the hell would we be able to identify the undocumented immigrants in this country to give amnesty to? It would be even harder to identify them to deport. Because they don't want to be deported. They'd want amnesty. So your critique here basically means that the solution you proposed is worse.
No, all I keep saying is the same thing. Deport them and then let them come back. I don't have to
but I'm asking you to explain why you... I'm asking... Hey, spineless tool. I'm asking you why you support that, even though it leads to worse outcomes. Dude, you're the fucking joke. You're the one that supports the policy that leads to worse outcomes for the country. So you agreed that it's significantly worse for the American economy. You agreed that it's significantly worse for the productivity of our labor force and our manufacturers. But then you still said that you support it because mass amnesty would be harder to pull off because it apparently would be harder to identify the undocumented immigrants to to give amnesty to. But then I explained to you. But then I explained. No, shut up. But then I explained to you how it is the case that it'd be even harder to identify the undocumented immigrants to deport, and then you ignore that, and then you circle back to the original claim. You're a tool without a single logical thought in your head. You have no faculties of reasoning. You're an absolute and utter fucking JOKE. You are the issue with this country because the moment I identify,
you name called me constantly, and I haven't called you one name. I have not disrespected you once.
Yeah, but you've only disrespected the 12 million undocumented immigrants in this country by advocating for them to be deported with no other reason than your bigotry and racism. Fuck it, I'm gonna say it, bro. Dude, the only reason why you support this shit is because you're racist. Absolutely. 100.
Racist?
Yes, racist. You heard me. Do I need to spell it out for you?
Because I like Americans?
Oh, wait. If you liked Americans, then you'd support mass amnesty because it would lead to better material conditions for Americans by making the economy better. You can't say that you support mass deportation because you like Americans, even though you're acknowledging in the same breath that you'd be making the conditions of Americans worse by weakening our economy, reducing average qualities of life, increasing poverty, thereby increasing crime, also reducing the efficacy of the economy by reducing the productivity of our manufacturers, and excommunicating 12 million consumers, meaning that American companies would grow at a slower rate. See, yeah, even that reason of saying that you support it because you like Americans, right, is false because it hurts Americans. But then you still claim to like it. Yes, you're fucking racist. And he's leaving. Oh my God. Okay, yeah. With that guest, all roads led back to racism. All roads led back to racism. And I'm so comfortable and confident in saying that. I'm so incredibly, he ran away like the little kid he is. I'm so comfortable and confident in saying that. Okay, listen. We're going to go through his arguments. Watch this. Okay, everybody, watch this. He says, I support mass deportation because it's better for the economy. That was his first implication when he said that undocumented immigrants get paid lower wages on average. I then turn around and I demonstrate with very specific information on how it's worse for the economy. Obviously, a non-racist, rational person that just truly cares about the economy would be like, well, I no longer support mass deportation because I was wrong and it's actually worse for the economy. So next argument he made, I support mass deportation because I like Americans. Well, if you like Americans and you wouldn't support mass deportation because of the reasons I already granted of how it's worse for the economy, it makes the quality of life for the average American worse. A non-racist, rational thinker would say there, you're right. I no longer support mass deportation because I think it's worse for Americans after the granted explanation that I couldn't refute. But what did he do? I actually still support mass deportation. I still support it. Well, Dean, you've told me very specifically on how it's worse for the economy. I still like it. You told me very specifically on how it's worse for Americans. Still kind of like it. You told me very specifically about how it causes more crime and it's bad for national security, but I still kind of like it. You've told me how there's alternatives like mass amnesty where we could identify everybody, legalize them, document them so we know who they are. But I still kind of support it. And, my biggest reason why I supported mass deportation was because it would be hard to do mass amnesty. And honestly, Dean, after you explained to me how it would be even harder to do mass deportation, I still support mass deportation. So in the last 30 minutes, we ruled out the possibility of him yielding that conclusion with any faculties of reason, with any faculties of logic, with any faculties of anything intellectual. Somebody in the chat just said, this is why I drink. Yeah, this is why I'm going to be bald by 25. I can't do it today. Holy fuck. Holy shit. That one was rough, you guys. That one was bad. That was really, really, really bad. Somebody in the YouTube chat says Dean is suffering for me. Oh, man. Okay.